So, we're continuing talking about tall tales. Put your books flat down for me. We're talking about tall tales still, and we are going to be talking about we talked more about it yesterday too, but we're going to be talking about the concept of a tall tale and what it really was, okay? So listen to this story, this mini story. It's not in your book, okay? Boy, what a day. My cat climbed up a 600-foot tree, and I had to climb up to rescue her. Then I jumped down with a perfect landing. I placed Kitty inside the house and zoomed to my car with lightning speed, only to find out that my car would not start. So I jogged 50 miles and made it to school in just 10 minutes. As I walked into the classroom, I realized that a tornado had struck. Everything was a mess. I quickly repaired all the tornado damage and picked up all the books and papers with just 1 minute to spare. Whew, what a morning. All right, who can tell me some exaggerations I had in that story? Ben?
Probably the most crazy thing was that I jogged 15 miles and that the school was hit by a tornado and it wasn't even wrecked. All the things were just flew everywhere.
Right, so one that he said was I jogged 50 miles. How long did it take me to jog 50 miles? Does anyone remember? Bella?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. That's not how that works. All right, what about my cat? How high was the tree my cat climbed? Joseph?
600 feet.
600 feet. What else was there, Sarah?
That the kid could drive a car.
Right.
And that he landed on his feet when he...
Right, he jumped out of a 600-foot tree and he landed on his feet with a perfect landing, right? So then it said that he fixed all of the damage from the tornado in just 9 minutes. Is that possible? No. Let's see. Anything else, Lincoln?
Where he zoomed to his car at lightning speed.
Right. He's not the Flash, right?
No.
All right. So,
It is a tall tale.
right? Exactly. It was a tall tale. I exaggerated the truth, right? So, maybe my cat did climb a tree and I had to go and rescue him. But maybe it was like the little tree across the street that's only like 5 feet tall. Okay? And maybe I did hop out, but again, it's only 5 feet tall. Then maybe my car didn't start, so I had to jog, but maybe it was only 1 mile, not 50 miles, right? And just trust me, I don't run, so I wasn't jogging, I was probably walking. Then, if a tornado struck, it would take a lot more than one person to fix a room, right? But maybe the tornado was my 4th grade class, and they left stuff everywhere, and I cleaned up the room in 9 minutes. Is that more likely?
I would never know that. I would
So,
not help do that.
do you see how I could have told a real... So what if this was the story? I woke up this morning and Loki climbed a tree, but it was just my little Christmas tree, so I got him down, and I put him on the ground, went to go start my car, and it didn't start, so I walked a mile down the road to school. I live a lot more than a mile down the road, but for story's sake, we're going to stick with it. Then I get to school with 10 minutes to spare. I'm like, whoo. And I walk in here, and it looks like a tornado went through the room because my students left papers and books everywhere. So I fix all of the damage and pick up all the papers and stack all the books with 1 minute to spare. Is that a more plausible story?
Yes.
But which one is more memorable? The first one, right? With all the exaggerations, the 600-foot tree and the tornado tearing up the school, right? So, it's where we can take like a true part and exaggerate it, right?
Lightning speed boy.
Right. So now look at page 64. Tall tales. The story Pecos Bill Gets a Wife is called a tall tale. That's an unusual name for an unusual kind of story. A tall tale stretches the truth so much that nobody is really expected to believe it. The story of Tall Tales. In early America, a man had to be strong just to survive. As a result, big stories grew up about big men who could do big, impossible things. But these impossible characters lived only in the minds of their storytellers. Follow along. The storytellers were almost always men who wished they could perform great feats. Sometimes they worked a hard, dangerous job. Sometimes their jobs were dull. The men wanted to have something to dream about. They wanted to know a bigger-than-life lumberjack, a railroad man, a seaman, or a cowboy. So they invented characters like Paul Bunyan, sit up, John Henry, Stormalong, and of course, Pecos Bill. Elements of a tall tale. It could have taken a real cowboy a year to encounter the excitement that Pecos Bill met in a day. That was one reason men liked this tall tale character so much. The more impossible the feats he accomplished, the better they liked him. He was the cowboy that other boys dreamed of being. However, Slewfoot Sue was hardly the kind of girl a cowboy dreamed of meeting. Adding a big dose of humor to all the tall tale helped make long, lonely nights on the prairie pass more quickly. So back then, especially, they didn't want a girl that was going to go chasing wild animals to ride all the time, right, and getting into trouble. They wanted someone that could stay home and help take care of the farm, and while they were gone, could take care of the kids and the house and the land, right? So that's what they mean by that. But the story of Slewfoot Sue just added humor and made it more fun and enjoyable, and it was like telling a funny story at night instead of telling just a tall tale. Makes sense? The best tall tale tellers also use colorful descriptions for spinning their tall tales. They wanted to draw pictures in the other fellow's mind. So they used phrases such as her hair looked like 2 carrots sticking out of her head, or her bustle was the size of a bushel basket. You can picture that, right? You can picture a bright orange carrot and sticking straight out, right? Because if I just said her hair was orange and it stuck out of her head, you're like, okay. But if I say it like a carrot, you get a better description, right? No. Find examples of tall tale elements in the story you just read. If you put them all together, you may be able to write a tall tale of your own. Okay? So, we talked about the elements of the tall tale and how that all works together, right? And how it becomes more interesting and more interactive, right? Yes, no, maybe so? Okay. Go ahead and put this book away and get out your workbook.